Assalamu alaikum, people listening and watching. You're tuning into the Let's Walk podcast. My name is Ataur Rahman, and obviously, I'm your host. It's been a while since the last podcast. It was in Ramadan, but today we have a very good guest who have been speaking for some time, and I'm glad that he accepted this invite. And obviously, with everything going on around the world, he had a huge heart to be like like whatever is going on, like. The love and the energy we share, we need to do
Has
this.
nothing to do with me.
So
I'm
yeah,
just trying to be a human being, man.
so thank you so much, Ram alaikum, for coming on, Talat bhai. And yeah,
It's an absolute pleasure. Lovely to be here.
so for the people who are listening, Talat bhai is a filmmaker. He's a synchronist. He's also an actor. He's worked in like different roles.
कहाँ से स्टार्ट करूं?
हाँ तो
मुझे तो बोलने का बहुत शौक है. आप मुझे ट्रिगर कर दो कि I'll hijack the show. आप बताएं.
For sure, for sure. I mean, like the stage
What
is
do you
all
want to
yours.
ask?
Maybe you can start off with like obviously you have studied acting, and we all know can acting has different school of thoughts. We have Strasberg, we have Meisner, we have Stalnowski. क्या नाम है बंदे का? So like studying
Stanislavski. Stanislavski and
Stanislavski.
Meyerhold.
Yeah, and then there is like Adler is
Yeah.
also there. Then there's David Mamet is also there. So like आप मुझे बताओ कि है ना, like how has that changed you, changed your perspective, or like changed you as a person? Like have you become more observant, or like how has that like changed your thinking process, like when it comes to like art and something like that? How has it added to your perspective? Usually we live in a life where we don't think about things like abhi. If we start thinking about acting, we probably hear the fan, and then you're seeing the light, you're seeing the mosquitoes. So how's that changed your perspective?
I have been fascinated by the concept of flow state. Maybe you've heard this term, but I never really knew what the flow state. I didn't know what it was called. This is something I enjoyed a lot as a kid. I was really into sculpting. I used to get hold of clay dough, nahi hoti plasticine. In Pakistan, you used to get this is like 93, 94, and you can get these like strips of plasticine of different colors. And I would just watch cartoons. They would come for like half an hour on TV, and then I would try to make voices for them. And this just developed in me as a way of communicating with myself. If I had an idea, I would make multiple voices and talk about it. बहुत बाद में मुझे पता चला कि actually मतलब people like Jim Carrey and stuff like that, they do these kind of things. They talk in front of the mirror. They try to experiment with your voice, experiment with your body, how much you can push yourself. This is not something healthy to do at all, because acting is something you must learn from someone who is monitoring you. Because acting is literally letting go of everything you believe and constructing new beliefs from the ground up. Making a character in you, and it's a very very cathartic process. If any addictions I had, I was able to overcome them because I was taught how to practice acting, and I was very lucky as well because I'm basically a media sciences graduate with majors in film and TV, film and animation. So we were not supposed to be taught acting. This was the time when Parvez Musharraf had started off. He had basically taken over Hindu Gymkhana and converted it into NAPA, okay, the National Academy of Performing Arts. I mean, that's one thing he did, which really ignited the concept of art in Karachi, especially. Because right now, art is predominantly based in Lahore. It's mostly done from there because of the whole Lollywood architecture. So having people like Talat Hussain, Zia Mohyuddin, and then Shima Kirmani, these are like people I've seen on TV and seen them face to face and then teaching you things. It like makes an impact. It's literally like you're worshipping a deity or something. Okay, metaphorically समझा रहा हूँ. Because Talat Hussain is someone we've seen a lot in dramas and stuff, and his way of manipulating through tones and characters, and them actually telling you, okay, what you're doing is you're convincing yourself that this character is you. If you can convince yourself that this is you, the people watching you will automatically believe. And this is something really psychotic if you think about it.
I feel like
The two exercises.
yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead, talk about the exercises. Yeah.
See, you can check this online. One of the best people to study for theatrical performances, especially for monologues, is Adolf Hitler. Because the amount of effort that Hitler was putting for even one speech, he would take multiple photographs of his own face, then choose which face he would make on which part of the sentence. That is how intense this work is. Okay, so if you are going into acting or going into filmmaking, there are two perspectives. One is what I call the Hitler perspective, and the other perspective is the nothing perspective. Because in the second perspective, you're exploring yourself. You don't really know what you are. I mean, you can know for sure what you are when you die, because then you have a complete narrative of what your lifestyle was like. Through life, you're just exploring yourself. And acting is something you don't just do on stage. Acting is what you're doing all the time. Because half the time, the emotions and the thoughts we're progressing and propagating on other people. You pick them up from somewhere. And I'm guilty of that as well. You know, till the age of like 29, 30, I was just copy pasting things in me. But this whole expression, okay, acting, what I was taught was in three layers: control of your body, control of your emotions, and control of your thoughts. ये तीन लेयर्स को आपको जो है मास्टर करना है. बॉडी सबसे पहले आती है. इफ यू कैन कंट्रोल योर बॉडी, तो सर्टेन मूवमेंट्स के थ्रू यू लर्न दिस इन योगा एज वेल. You learn this in exercises. You learn this when you're doing sports. Okay, by doing certain stretches, you can activate certain chemicals in your body. So in that made me realize, okay, hold on. As a teenager, I've been doing drugs. But if I focus on one thought and I do certain poses, the effect of the drug I'm able to trigger in my body without actually taking the drug. That was a huge, huge thing for me. That made me focus on my body more. Okay, what the hell is this body? If I can do something without eating or without, if you really focus on something, you will experience this. You can go on days without food and sleep. If you really, really are passionate for something. Unfortunately, mostly it's Netflix shows, but if there's something in your life which demands that level of attention from you, you will notice you don't have any thoughts at that time. You even stop feeling hunger or sleep, or you push yourself to follow that thought. So for me, that thought was to understand what my body really is. What is it asking of you? And that led me to frequencies, because the easiest way to control your emotions is actually frequencies. When I say frequencies, I literally mean frequencies. Like you have scales. Now there are two categories of these. One are synthetic scales, which you usually listen to music on Spotify or in Bollywood and stuff. That's basically a 18 or 20 hour long symphony जिसमें से उन्होंने 3 या 4 मिनट निकाल लिए कि okay, this part is very very upbeat, or this part target, this is using 432, this is using 440, so this can excite the viewer to get us money so that he keeps listening to it again and again. But actual sound or actual music, which you call music, उसको मौसीकी कहते हैं. I mean, if you go even into Hinduism, okay, the actual rags they play, the old documented ones, you try listening to them for 5 minutes and you'll fall asleep, dude. It requires so much effort to actually listen to those rags. Because what are those rags? They're actually replicating the sounds of nature, or they're replicating the frequencies your body produces when it goes through a certain emotion. This is what really fascinated me. This was the point I was fluctuating between Islam and atheism. Because I was able to feel happy if I listened to a certain frequency. I was able to feel sad if I listened to a certain frequency. And by doing this repetitively for I think 2 or 3 years, I don't know if I should. This is called synthesia, and this triggered into me because I was obsessively listening to everything I could get hold of. There was no good music or bad music. If it's something I can play on my speaker, I will listen to it and try to figure out what the structure is. So now I can see sound. I don't know how else I can explain this, because musicians are able to do this, but you don't see sound through your eyes. That's the beauty of sound. You see it through your body. When a sound hits you, it will hit you on certain parts of your body. If that sound is producing a frequency which your body does not have, like if you're lonely and you're looking for love, so there are certain rags. If you just play those in a pattern, there's just 5 or 6 notes. If you keep repetitively playing them, it will force your body to release the oxytocin, which love generates. I mean, in
Crazy.
today's time, whatever technology we have, this is all based on frequencies. Because I mean, recently we saw this. This is what we call spectrum warfare. We're literally, as a species, fighting in frequencies right now. Literally starting from the most basic, which is music, to food, to visuals, to colors, now even air and water, and to the point that your city is now made up of materials, which is forcing certain frequencies to be repetitive in your head. Like everything is a marketing screen. Now
Wow.
this is a personal path of me. I'm someone who was never into exploring the outside world. I got triggered into going inside because of this transition I faced when I was studying arts. Because filmmaking, if you actually look into filmmaking, it's either documentation, like it's a scientific tool, because it was being used in the 12th, 13th, 14th century, even the Renaissance, to document stuff. And then there's the hallucinogenic part. Music, sound, frequencies are also used to induce trance states. And right now, it's literally being used as marketing. I literally call it magic because that's what they're doing. They're creating a synthetic demand in you for a product by playing a certain sound or by showing a certain visual repetitively. They started to make me sick. Now,
And
now can
I
you
think,
imagine the paradox? I'm coming from filmmaking. I studied all of this and then I realized, okay, this is what they're actually doing.
and you see, it's like very common. अभी आप देखें उनको अगर कुछ बेचना है करना है, तो you have a certain music which makes you feel like I usually joke about this. I'm not sure if you know Maaza. It's like a mango juice brand in India. So
Oh
most
yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah.
they have not, like, their idea of a mango is like Katrina Kaif drinking Maaza. Like that is their,
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
understanding of mango. But when they taste real mango, which is having like 15 to 20 or even 100 like different kinds of sweetness, they are like, this is not maza. But who said maza is mango? That is like chemical, right? They're just manufacturing it. But the way they are marketing it, like, Katrina is looking at you and she's drinking maza. What people ingrain is that this is how the mango should taste like, or this is how the feeling it should give, probably, right?
I add something to this. Okay, your brain is the actual culprit here. See, your brain needs triggers to release certain chemicals in your body. The chemicals are basically making you feel things. So the mango you're tasting, you're not actually tasting mango. You're literally tasting Katrina Kaif. You're not wrong there. That is literally the target of the campaign. See, it's easier to sell Katrina rather than sell mangoes. Everybody wants to taste Katrina, but not everybody wants to taste mangoes. And I have tasted Maza. It's available over here locally. It's literally a syrup filled with sugar and flavorings. I mean, Pepsi tastes better than Maza to me, to be very honest. Now, I'm not really that fan of Katrina. But again, okay, uh, this is why I code the map of consciousness on my channel so much, and I'm trying to like go for scientific approaches कि scientific या reality based चीजों पर बात ज्यादा करो. रिलीजन पे अगर आप ज्यादा बात करने जाते हो तो फिर आपको जस्टिफाई करना मुश्किल हो जाता है क्योंकि रिलीजन इज समथिंग वेरी पर्सनल. Okay, your religion is what you've experienced. If I tell you God exists, you can take it as a thought. But until and unless you experience God for yourself, you cannot understand what I'm trying to say, right? But consciousness is something everybody experiences, man. We're talking because we're conscious. So just evolving your conscious on a practical level, even in the US, can bring out such beautiful spiritual changes. Because मैंने अगर spirituality attain की है, what brought me back to Islam was actually trying to understand my own consciousness कि मेरे अंदर ये क्या चल रहा है? Why am I asking for certain things? Why am I not asking for Katrina? I mean, what's so different in me? Uh, in filmmaking, you're taught color theory, and color theory is something very, very profound. I mean, you would see certain colors repetitively being used, like a certain shade of blue, a certain shade of yellow, and a certain shade of red. Like blue will always give you a feeling of calmness that you can communicate. Okay, hence the blue collar job, hence royal blue. And yellow and red, these two are literally targeting your sexual glands and your stomach.
I mean, that is why the mango has a little bit of red in it, I mean, like the skin of the mango is usually, like, the mango is usually yellow, but it has a little bit of pinkish, and like there's mangoes in the background when Katrina is coming and she's like kuch meetha ho jaye. And I guess that is the message that people are getting.
Today, people are okay. There's a person, ये नाम यहाँ मैं quote कर सकता हूँ और भी मुझे जगह नहीं मिलती थी. He's a very beautiful writer. Okay, he wrote a book called Future Shock. ठीक है, Alvin Toffler इसका नाम है. अब ये 1950s की किताब है सर.
Okay.
I'm really into science fiction. I really enjoy science fiction. So Alvin Toffler makes this debate through this novel. Okay, there will come a time that jobs will be so mechanical and repetitive that you would need entertainment just to wake up in the morning and go to work. मतलब consumption of entertainment would be mass produced. और मजे की बात ये इस चीज की मास प्रोडक्शन की जो बुनियाद डाली है वो डाली है उसने हेनरी फोर्ड ने. हेनरी फोर्ड द गाय उसने फोर्ड जो आपकी कार की कंपनी नहीं होती उसमें मास प्रोडक्शन का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है सबसे पहले उससे पहले उधर से आ रहा है आपका नाजी से आ रहा है जिन्होंने बीटल बनाई थी फॉक्सवैगन. लेकिन उन्होंने एज आर्मी बनाई थी कि हमारी फाइटिंग फोर्स होगी. जो हरकत इसने की है फोर्ड ने की है वो अब पूरा का पूरा आपको सोशल मीडिया पे कॉपी पेस्ट होती हुई दिखती है. कि आपको अब रील्स देखने की जरूरत है जस्ट बिकॉज यू टू स्पेंड 1 hour ऑन योर ऑफिस टेबल. You need to watch content just to want to go and work. What this has done is completely destroyed our dopamine and as well as our cortisol system.
And
ये दो बड़े मोटे मोटे वर्ड मैंने बोल दिए.
maybe why
बोले
why
बोले.
this is this maybe why this is happening is because I remember, एक बार आपने वीडियो में भी आपके बताया था यूट्यूब के, like आज के टाइम में है ना, बस इंसान का लाइक जो दिल से काम करना चाह रहा है वो नहीं कर रहा है, बस किसी तरह से पैसे बन जाए। और उसके लिए जब काम करना है तो इट इज मोस्टली लाइक यू आर किलिंग योरसेल्फ एंड यू आर गोइंग टू वर्क बेसिकली। लाइक दैट इज व्हाट इट मीन्स, यू आपका दिल नहीं है, वो नहीं है।
You're literally doing that.
I mean, like the same way we went through university, like doing, I mean, not all, but like some people, going through medicine or like some other subject which they never liked. And they are just, sitting through exams and trying to force feed the information to their brain. And so that, they can get a degree and for social validation and everything. And parents, trying to brag, ke, na, mara munda ye, hai, mara beta ye. Hai." And, uh, and end of the day the person himself, they are in a totally different zone ki, hai na, why am I even doing this in the first place? And when they have something like entertainment and movies, their brain is now into some sort of zone where it can't think, it can't do anything, it is in a numb state probably. And the work is going on, life is
Yes.
going on, जिंदगी चल रही है, शादी हो रही, बच्चे हो रहे, उनके बच्चे हो रहे, वही साइकिल रिपीट हो रही। एंड डू यू थिंक लाइक कभी ये चेंज होगा, और लाइक maybe people should break the cycle and try to do something they love, like which is when they'll come in tune with the reality or with the self or something like that?
ये इतना प्यारा सवाल है मेरे पास, इसके दो जवाब है. बोथ द आंसर्स आर यस. द साइकिल कैन बी ब्रोकन. लेकिन सेकंड वाला थोड़ा लंबा है. बिकॉज वी आर गोइंग थ्रू समथिंग जो हमारी पिछली जनरेशन नहीं गुजरी है. एक्चुअली आई एम अ मिलेनियल. तो आई एम वन ऑफ दोज जनरेशन जिसने अपने सामने टेक्नोलॉजी आते हुए देखी है कि इट वाज एक्चुअली बॉर्न. द कंप्यूटर केम इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी. बट अब जो जनरेशन आ रही है ना, उनका ये जो जनरेशन गैप है, लाइक माई फादर एंड मी, वी हैड अ जनरेशन गैप बिकॉज ही मैरिड वेरी लेट. ही वाज अराउंड 55 व्हेन ही गॉट मैरिड. So when I was born, he was around, like, you can say he was around 58, 59. He was a government officer, so he didn't marry. He married due to family pressure. शादी कर लो वरना family आगे नहीं बढ़ेगी. But because of this, me and my dad, we had a 3 generation gap. See, he's from the 50s, I'm from the 90s. So right now, when I see the new generations coming up, I see them with a generation gap of more than what I had with my father. Because technology, softwares और content इतनी speed से evolve हो रहा है कि we cannot teach the upcoming generation what to do and what not to do. We just have to give them confidence. कि we're here for you. See, you have to understand now, if you're born with something, you take it for granted. You understand it on a level that someone coming from an outer system does not have the capacity to do so. Like जिस तरह से हमारा लैंग्वेज पे कमांड है, इंग्लिश पे है, वो इसलिए क्योंकि हम शुरू से इंग्लिश यूज कर रहे हैं फॉर थिंकिंग एंड स्टफ. अब नया बंदा आएगा, उस वो हो सकता है पॉलीमैथ हो, लेकिन अगर वो उसको सिंधी में या गुजराती में सीख के आ रहा है, तो इंग्लिश में कम्युनिकेट नहीं कर पाएगा. इसका ये मतलब तो नहीं है कि वो जाहिल है. और ये मुझे होता हुआ दिख रहा है. Because, sir, I kid you not, Alhamdulillah, I have been able to give more than 100 people coaching and therapy sessions in the last 6 months. I'm trying to get a hang of this. Because this is something which is also coming up in the West. This is literally a new job description that's coming up. Okay, people at the age of 40, 50, and 60 who've had a lot of life experiences, they come up and become life coaches. Instead of going for a book or something like that, you go to someone who's actually been through it. Like I have two advantages over here. मैंने अपनी अपने साइकी के साथ, इमोशंस के साथ बहुत एक्सपेरिमेंट किया है, और ड्रग्स के साथ बहुत एक्सपेरिमेंट किया हुआ है. And right now, the whole new wave that's coming up, there's a drug right now which is called ice. You've probably heard of it, methamphetamine. And this is a very old drug, surprisingly. This goes back to the Nazis. It was used even before that to fight in wars. इसी की एक किस्म पे cocaine है. But this drug never had a grip on society. It literally got its grip when society became so mechanical. You have to work like 24 hours, 48 hours, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. Drugs change हो रहे हैं. Alcohol आहिस्ता आहिस्ता खुद ब खुद पीछे होती जा रही है. I can understand why that's happening. Because you need something in your body to calm it down, to tell your body that yes, you're okay, it's all good, you can do this. Usually the body needs either food or some material property which you can see or touch or taste or hold or share with someone in order to calm the body down. और आजकल 85, again I'll have to quote Mr. Dawkins over here, according to his research, 85% of the world population does not want to leave this system of outside validation. They're happy with it. They want to stay in the loop. मतलब एक तरह से मैट्रिक्स की कोट हो गई ना. If you try to save someone who doesn't want to be saved, they'll drag you back in. हमें we have to create at least a safe space for the upcoming generation, which has adapted to technology so well. It's like breathing for them. Instead of like teaching them, we need to completely restructure the whole education system. We need schools, we need universities, but for interaction, not for teaching. And the beauty is, if you go back to the golden age of Islam, or even if you go back to the Greeks where they actually developed democracy, this is what they were doing. They would have a safe space. यहाँ पे बैठ कर लड़ते थे भाई, and nobody got offended. Nobody took it personally, especially during the Islamic times. Because as I see, Muslims didn't invent as much as they collected, compiled, and organized. That is the actual credit we should give to the Muslims. We should not focus on the Muslims as such. We should focus on them as the Arabs and as the Turks. Because Muslims actually means it's a religious movement. It was never a religious movement. I mean, you don't say the Christian Empire, or you don't say the Jew Empire. वो भी इसराइल का भी अभी जाके पढ़ना शुरू हुआ, but you never really called them as civilization based on their religion. So it was the Arabs, the Turks, and the Romans who combined and collected all of the data and put it in one place. And I take inspiration from them now. मतलब I want to be on that place. I want to think like those Muslims, those Arabs, जो ये नहीं देख रहे थे कि डेटा कहाँ से आ रहा है, वो डेटा जमा कर रहे थे और ये देख रहे थे कि मैं इसको खुद प्रैक्टिकली यूज करके देख सकता हूँ या नहीं कर सकता. अगर मैं नहीं कर सकता तो फिर कोई बंदा ढूंढो, जाके छोड़ियां नहीं मारो कि मुझे ये पता है, मुझे ये पता है. प्रैक्टिकल चीज लेके आओ. एंड दिस इज व्हाट द बेसिस ऑफ द साइंटिफिक मेथड इज, जो आजकल वर्ल्ड वाइड प्रैक्टिस होता है. द आयरनी इज ये एक्चुअली निकल यहीं से रहा है, यहाँ से मुस्लिम से निकल के यूरोप की तरफ गया और यूरोप से निकल के यूएस गया. अब हम उस पॉइंट पे आ गए हैं कि इस साइंटिफिक मेथड ने एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट है. ओके, आज के जमाने में जब हम साइंस को स्टडी, आई एम अ साइंस स्टूडेंट एज वेल, ए लेवल फिजिक्स एंड केमिस्ट्री किया हुआ, so I can boast about it a little bit. But how we understand physics and chemistry is we divide them into states. कि solid state है, liquid state है, gas की state है, और फिर plasma की state है जो recently discover हुई है. But the ancients, older civilizations who had much better grip on science and spirituality did not divide them into states. They would divide them into elements. मतलब I have to quote an anime over here. If you've ever heard of this, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
No, I haven't heard. क्या होता है बताएं आप इसमें.
In a nutshell, that anime explores the fantastical side of what you can, which directions you can go into if you take states as elements. Like Earth is an element. When you look at the periodic table in chemistry, it's not taking Earth as an element, it's taking all 5 elements and organizing them in a chart showing you the सबसे lightest और कौन सा है, सबसे भारी कौन सा है. But in the ancients, we would look them as 4 elements, 5 elements actually. Earth है, fire है, water है, air है, and the 5th one, which is right now forbidden element है, इसको ether कहा जाता था, आजकल इसको plasma कह रहे हैं. But ether is much more deeper. Like we literally right now जहां हम बैठे हुए हैं ना, हम ether के अंदर बैठे हुए हैं. इसको explain करने के लिए, okay, ether is something you can taste when you meditate. If your mind goes without thought for 5 to 10 minutes and you just sit, if you go to the Hindus, they call it prana. कि प्राणा के साथ हम सिंक हो गए. आप चाइनीज कल्चर्स में जाते हो तो कहते हैं ची, हमने ची अटेन कर लिया. ठीक है, अगर आप मुसलमानों में आ रहे हो तो उन्होंने उसको कहा है कि हमें रूहानियत मिल गई है, अल्लाह से लो लग गई है. और व्हाट्स एक्चुअली हैपनिंग, दिस इज एन एलिमेंट, इट्स लिटरली एन एलिमेंट, जिसको आप आज की साइंस में प्लाज्मा कह सकते हो. बट इट्स लाइक ईथर इज टू अस व्हाट वाटर इज टू अ फिश. डज दैट मेक एनी सेंस? लाइक दिस इज ऑल ईथर, जिसके अंदर बाकी चारों एलिमेंट्स हैं. Once this concept you start to grip onto, spirituality literally becomes science. The soul becomes an electromagnetic wave. Okay, and it's quantifiable. The consciousness becomes electrical pulses. जो आपको वेस्ट में दिख रहा है कि they've reached that level. They're not dependent on any structure of religion in order to attain good consciousness, in order to attain knowledge, in order to attain wisdom. आप कुछ भी कहें, इस वक्त सबसे स्टेबल तरीके से न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स को यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स नहीं रखा हुआ है ना. द बेस्ट न्यूक्लियर पॉलिसी इज देयर पॉलिसी. दे आर मैनेजिंग इट द बेस्ट. एंड हाउ आर दे मैनेजिंग इट? दे आर एबल टू डिफरेंशिएट कि नॉलेज प्रैक्टिकल वाली कौन सी है और सूडो साइंस कौन सी है. और अगर आपको यूएस जैसी जगह से ये नॉलेज मिल रही है कि कॉन्शियसनेस इज द नेक्स्ट बेस्ट थिंग टू वर्क ऑन, तो आई थिंक यही वो चीज है जो हमारे कल्चर में, मतलब आई कम फ्रॉम अ मुस्लिम बैकग्राउंड, तो उसमें कहा जाता है कि भाई अल्लाह ताला से कनेक्शन बनाओ, अल्लाह ताला से कनेक्शन बनाओ। कॉन्शियसनेस यही तो है। अल्लाह ताला
Totally.
से कनेक्शन तो तब बनेगा ना तुम्हारा खुद से कनेक्शन बनेगा।
And I feel like a lot of people have said this, okay, like we have Muslims, but when you go to the West, you see Islam, but you do not see Muslims. I mean, like the point where we have like reduced everything to rituals or symbolism, जैसे कि
तो पेगनिज्म
जीवन
ही हो गया ना।
kind of I mean I don't know if I can say that, but जीवन विद्या में like there used to be Ashok sir, तो
यू कैन, दिस इज एक्चुअली अ टर्म सर।
अच्छा
Sir, this is called neo-paganism. This is being done right now. See, if you are focused on, see, इसको हिंदुइज्म में जैसे कहते हैं ना, ध्यान लगाना, आपका ध्यान किस पे है? Whatever is on your mind all the time, that is your God. It could be money, it could be happiness. You can literally treat happiness as a deity and you'll be worshipping it. You don't need to make a physical idol of it. It depends on how your mind is working. और मैप ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस हो गया या फिर मेडिटेशन हो गई, वो यही तो कहती है कि सब में तुम्हारा ऑटो पायलट पे क्या चल रहा है।
and even
What are
if
you doing without realizing? Figure that out.
and even like even if we go down to more simpler things, like something like let's say like Ashok sir used to give this example, अगर है ना जब बड़े आ जाते हैं घर में, so we stand up, right, and we greet them,
Mhm.
even if we are sitting. So he used to say है ना नहीं उठना नहीं है, बैठे रहो. So we used to be like, sir, it is a like form of respect, like everyone is following. अभी आप ऐसे बोलोगे sir, it's out of habit. So he's like, exactly, habit बन गई है. असल में respect है नहीं है, वो किसी को पता नहीं है. Sometimes we have gone to the point where all of our
Exactly.
things have become a habit. वो respect अगर आप बैठ के भी है, sometimes it's like people they don't stand, but you feel the respect. तो है ना हम ये रेस्पेक्ट ये सारी चीजों को हम एक सिंबल एक शो ऑफ जेस्चर के उस पर रिड्यूस कर दिए हैं. एंड समवेयर वी हैव नॉट लाइक गॉट एक्सेस टू द एसेंस, बोलो आप उसका चाशनी बोलो क्या बोलो, मतलब यू नो व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, राइट?
एसेंस इज अ गुड वर्ड।
या
द एसेंस, बिकॉज इंसान की एसेंस ही तो होती है, हमारी हमारा एक सिग्नेचर है, हमारा एक डिवाइन स्पार्क है, वट एवर यू वांट टू कॉल इट। आप साइंस में जा रहे हैं तो योर इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक टॉरस, आपका ऑरा।
या टोटली, तो है ना वो चीजों को हम कहीं भूल कर है ना सारा रिलीजन सारे हमारे चीजों को हमने है ना लाइक एक रिचुअल बेस्ड या फिर हम कह दें लाइक रोबोटिक बना दिए चीजों को हमने. सो दैट इज वन थिंग विच स्ट्राइक्स. एंड डू यू हैव अ कैट गोइंग अराउंड नियर बाय यू? नो?
अ कपल ऑफ देम, यस।
Yes, so I also have a lot of cats. So अब cat के ऊपर हम ज्यादा बॉन्ड कर सकते हैं. इनफैक्ट देयर इज वन कैट गोइंग यहाँ से. तो आप बताओ कैट्स का क्या है ना चक्कर है, मतलब कि उसको लोग बोलते हैं कि ये पिछले जमाने में मतलब इतने ये सुप्रीम क्रीचर्स है. देखो आप डॉग होते, डॉग है ना आपके पास आता है. कैट ऐसी एक वाहिद एनिमल है जहां पर इंसान उसको जाके है ना मतलब टेबल पर रख रहा है, उसको खाना खिला रहा है, उसको इतने सारा मतलब प्यार मोहब्बत दे रहा है. But it's not the same case with other animals. So like what do you think, मतलब पिछले टाइम में like cat were like some super animal या फिर उनके पास कुछ एक certain energy या power है जो like people used to maybe take benefit of? क्या क्या चक्कर है cats का?
द इजिप्शियंस एक्चुअली यूज्ड टू वर्शिप कैट्स। देखिए, I I opened up an informal NGO in my backyard during COVID. I was so depressed and I was completely out of work. So I just started picking up kittens wherever I would find them. जो कि स्ट्रीट कैट्स नहीं है, जो स्ट्रेज होते हैं, जो दिख रहा था कि इसकी माँ या कोई इसे छोड़ के गई है, ये सर्वाइव नहीं करेगा। फाइंड देम अ लॉट ओवर हियर, तो यहाँ पे कराची में एनिमल प्रोटेक्शन के एज सच कोई प्रैक्टिकल स्टेप्स नहीं है, लॉज हैं वो एज सच प्रॉपर्ली इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं होते। और उसमें गवर्नमेंट की इतनी गलती नहीं है, इट हैज टू डू विद हाउ सोसाइटी इज स्ट्रक्चर्ड ओवर हियर। बट टू कट द लॉन्ग स्टोरी शॉर्ट, द कैट और द सी लाइन, they have this ability. This I learned by trying to save them. Whenever I would pick up a kitten, they would purr. You know what purring is?
Yeah, like they
You
make
know,
like a
I,
thermostat, like they vibrate like a thermostat or something, they like brrr ऐसे करके कोई sound आता है.
yes, वो साउंड नहीं होता, वो लिटरली अपने, इनके पास यहाँ पे एक्स्ट्रा यू समझ ले बोन्स एंड मसल्स हैं। द वाइब्रेशन साउंड दे मेकिंग इज अ हीलिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी। If a cat is purring on you and you put that cat on you, I kid you not, within 5 to 10 minutes, you'll start feeling happy for no reason. If you have cats, you would know this. Because a cat will not purr on you until it treats you as its own property. See, a cat has a very big ego. डॉग्स की ईगो होती नहीं है, माइनस में होती है. और कैट्स की ईगो इतनी बड़ी इसलिए होती है क्योंकि कैट्स ओके, इसमें से सबसे मजेदार चीज आई रियलाइज दिस बाय कटिंग ऑफ द विस्कर्स ऑफ अ कैट. इफ यू कट द विस्कर्स ऑफ अ कैट, उसकी मूछें नहीं होती, दे लूज बैलेंस. Because
Okay.
every single hair on their body is a sensor. It's giving them awareness of the pressure, of the temperature, of smell, of God knows what. It's such a beautiful creature कि आप उसको स्टडी करने बैठ जाओ, आपको अपनी बॉडी पे कंट्रोल आ जाता है. मतलब आई लर्न हाउ टू रेगुलेट माई बॉडी टेम्परेचर फॉर अप टू 5 to 7 degrees just by spending time with cats. And it's all about breathing. लिटरली ब्रीदिंग है. जब परिंग करेंगी तो आप नोटिस करना वो ब्रीदिंग करना रोक देती है. द फास्टर यू ब्रीथ, द हॉटर योर बॉडी गेट्स. द स्लो योर ब्रीथ, द कामर इट गेट्स. सोचिए, ये बिल्ली ने सिखाया मुझे. अब
Crazy.
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि then COVID ended. So I had at least like 23, 24 cats at that time. So I've distributed them all over the मतलब मोहल्ले में सारी फैले में जाके चेक करता रहता हूँ. लेकिन वो स्ट्रे कैट्स है ना, तो उनके अंदर वो कॉन्फिडेंस है. They stuck to a place for like 2 or 3 weeks and then they moved on. They started hunting, finding their own places. This is one good thing about cats. And this only comes to you if you're going for stray cats. If you have like a Persian cat or a Russian cat, उनकी पे मेंटेनेंस बहुत हाई हो जाती है क्योंकि उनकी environment पे वो सूट नहीं करते. Because cat can only survive in the environment they're born in. The environment change करो, they die from heart shock.
And
I've
and
had
and they,
that experience. Like, it died
like
because I changed the room.
they don't oh my God. And they don't even adapt, like they become very like lazy if like I used to have pehle, like I used to have a lot of Persian cats, but now it's like all Desi cats and they are like everywhere. कभी कोई सालन में मुंह डाल रहा है तो कभी कोई है
Yeah,
ना.
yeah.
It's like having extra kids. Like my mother's always like क्या क्या पाल के रखे हैं
Literally,
इनको.
yeah,
ऐसे दिख रहा है कि है ना तुम बच्चे कम पड़ गए थे इनको
yeah.
ला
And
लिया.
well,
It's
cats are very spiritual animals. कि आपको बिल्लियां चुड़ैलों के पास भी मिलेंगी, आपको बिल्लियां जो है ना स्पिरिचुअल लोगों के पास भी मिलेंगी. Because cats are meditators. If you want to learn meditation, look at a cat sleeping. A cat is never asleep. It never sleeps. Unless उसका मुंह जब तक नहीं खुला हुआ ना, बिल्ली सो नहीं रही है. It's literally conserving energy. So you want to learn, you want to be a master yogi, get a cat and see how it just sits still and relaxes its whole body. इससे बेहतर मेडिटेशन सीखने के मेरे पास कोई टेक्निक नहीं है. बाकी सारी इसलिए मुझसे कोई आके पूछता भी है, सर मैं कौन सा योगा पोस्ट करूं, क्या करूं. मैंने कहा, पहले अपनी ब्रीदिंग तो देखो, अपनी ब्रेथ को देखो कि तुम्हारी ब्रेथ फंस रही है या खुल के ले रहे हो. जब तुम ब्रीथ कर रहे हो बॉडी में कहीं मसल स्टिफ हो रहे हैं या पूरी बॉडी रिलैक्स्ड है. जब तुम्हें अपनी बॉडी सेंस आना शुरू हो जाएगी, तुम्हें योगा की टेंशन ही खत्म हो जाएगी. तुम्हें तो खुद ही पता होगा कौन से पार्ट पे लोड पड़ रहा है, तो तुम वो बैलेंस करते रहोगे. इंस्टिंक्टिवली होगा. एंड आई हाईली रिकमेंड लोगों को कि अगर कैट पाल नहीं सकते ना, तो कहीं बिल्ली से दोस्ती जरूर करें. बिकॉज द एनर्जी a cat gives you, ना, that's a very pure energy. And animals don't lie to you, okay? They don't know English. Whatever they feel, they project that towards you. And if a cat is making a noise, that is the last resort. Because cats जो vibrations में बात करती है. Cats don't talk. You will notice the meow sound. A cat will only make that meow sound if it's talking to the owner or to its mother. वो meow की sound कभी किसी दूसरी बिल्ली के सामने नहीं निकालता है. It's literally a language of forcing you to say कि भाई तू मेरे माँ के बराबर है, आओ बचाओ मुझे. I have to give credit to cats because uh, being able to sense vibrations more deeply and more, precisely, more intimately, happened when I spent a lot of time with cats. I was literally sitting with 25 to 40 cats on me. I have pictures on it on my Facebook. I'll share with you. I was
crazy.
literally posting stories on Facebook every day. और मतलब कि भाई मुझे ये बिल्ली मिली है, यहाँ बिल्ली मिली है, यहाँ बिल्ली मिली है. And I kid you not, in like 5 to 6 days, people from my own school circle, like from O level, A level, class 8 and class 9, somebody sitting in New York, someone sitting in Zimbabwe, they started sending me money. And we can't afford this cat over here, please keep it for us. Like, I think ये लोग करते भी है ना. अब this has
Right.
become a pretty popular culture as well. You can fund a cat, you can fund a dog, you can fund animals. It's basically an animal way of running a charity. But I was very surprised कि how therapeutic an animal can be for you if you just try to connect with it. And I still believe कि आपके पास घर में animals होने चाहिए. But my
Yeah.
family doesn't agree with it.
And I think it's also like how like बचपन से हम कैसे रहे हैं. Like my parents, they lived with like goats and chickens and everything, so it is very natural for them. So like there is no like second guessing or like thinking about it. Okay, should we keep or not keep? Like it has been part of their childhood. So I guess that is a very good thing, that you also learn to care about other like animals, and then that also reflects in human beings. उसने खाना खाया क्या?
Literally like that. It's literally like that. I was literally going through severe depression, and COVID hit. I was already trying to figure things out. We were actually working on a feature film at that time, and the whole film has been shelved. पूरी footage उसकी जाया है क्योंकि वो सही से shoot नहीं हुई है. So out of money, no hope for work. And what I start doing, I start collecting kittens. And within 2 weeks, I was literally as if I'm doing a drug. Just having those cats with me fixed all my mental. I'm talking like clinical depression level वाले मुझे hints आना शुरू हो गए थे. अल्लाह का शुक्र है clinical depression हुआ नहीं, लेकिन वही ना हर चीज बंद हो गई है. So if you are connected to animals, this I learned with experience. If you have animals with you, you cannot have mental disorders. It's like 90% आपकी सेफ्टी हो रही है. इन इस्लाम ये कहते हैं कि जानवर पालो ना तो आपके लिए दुआ करते हैं. मैं आपको कह रहा हूँ कि if you keep an animal around you, the animal is emitting life. It's actually emitting an electromagnetic wave that is producing life. And if you just be around that, the energy that's broken in you, being around that will fix you.
Perfect.
और कोई भी नहीं बताता यार, मेंटल डिसऑर्डर्स आपको हो रहे हैं, वो आपको दवाइयों पे लगा रहे हैं, SSRIs पे लगा रहे हैं, इतने कॉम्प्लेक्स थेरेपीज दे रहे हैं. कुछ नहीं करो, उठा के नेचर में डाल दो, उसे बोलो एनिमल्स के साथ इंटरेक्ट करे, बी अराउंड लिविंग पीपल. And the depression will go. And you will see the maximum cases of depression या anxiety. Even the people I'm getting, mostly वो लोग हैं जो मतलब सिटी के बीच में रह रहे हैं और इतनी हेक्टिक लाइफ है कि literally they don't have 10 minutes for themselves. उनसे कह रहा हूँ तुम 10 मिनट सिर्फ बैठो और कुछ नहीं करो. कह रहे हम कैसे करें, हमारे सर पे जिम्मेदारियां इतनी है. जब वो काम पूरे होते हैं तब हम सो जाते हैं और नींद पूरी नहीं होती, हमें काम उठाता है. तो
Yeah.
यानी डिप्रेशन एंड एंजाइटी is not exactly a disease, it's basically a lack of life that you're experiencing. But this is literally my personal experience. Psychology teaches this to you in a very different way. Depression हो रहा है तो बचपन के साथ इसकी माँ ने कुछ किया होगा, टॉक्सिक फैमिली में रहा होगा, या फिर इसके अंदर इमोशन फंसे होंगे. लेकिन आई लिटरली सी, सर, ह्यूमन बीइंग आर ऑलवेज हीलिंग एंड वी आर ऑलवेज ट्रॉमेटाइज्ड. The human condition, the human being is capable of adapting to wherever you want it to adapt to. This means we can heal any trauma we are in. हमारे अंदर built in mechanism है. We go into trauma when we don't have other people to share. जो आपने स्टार्टिंग में बात की ना सर, I would like to conclude on that कि we are designed to be around other living beings. और अल्लाह ताला इस्लाम में कहते हैं कि आपको हमने खलीफा बना के भेजा है. यानी हमारे अंदर डिजायर है to connect, to take care, to interact, to exchange knowledge. I mean, it's humanly possible for me to know everything. I will need to talk to Athar and other people to get the side, that perspective, that knowledge, which I'm not humanly capable of. Right now, I have something which you guys don't have because I had the luxury and the drive to pursue a certain field for like 15, 20 years. So, what I was doing for 15, 20 years, I was ignoring everything else, right? So, the best way for humankind to evolve or to actually acknowledge what we are is just think on one level that everything is connected. This might sound very spiritual or like voodoo to you, but once you go through this phases of depression, when there's no life around you, that is when you actually begin to realize these things.
Some of the few things like which I was thinking about is आपने बीच में कलर के ऊपर में बात किया था, and you also had the podcast with Jahangir Saab, and we spoke a lot about colors, and I think mango के बारे में भी बात हुई, and I feel that maybe आपका generation was like the silver screen generation, silver screen movies को जाना and everything, and then it became TV आया, and then सास भी
Cinema
कभी.
culture, yes.
Yeah, सास भी कभी बहू थी, पवित्र रिश्ता, and all of these things were like common like in Indian households, or like dramas and everything. Now it's the OTT culture. पहले के टाइम में आई एम श्योर यू आर अवेयर के है ना, देवानंद साहब व्हेन ही यूज्ड टू वेयर ब्लैक है ना, ही वाज टोल्ड नॉट टू वेयर ब्लैक बिकॉज इतना है ना, मतलब उनकी फैन फॉलोइंग थी. एंड वी हैव इंस्टेंसेस वेयर तेरे नाम का हेयर कट जो है, आधा इंडिया से ऊपर से लेके नीचे तक सारा तेरे नाम बन के है ना फिरे हुए आफ्टर सलमान खान फिल्म, राइट? सो इतना जब ड्रास्टिक इफेक्ट आ रहा है सोसाइटी के ऊपर जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ अ फिल्म और somebody is wearing some sort of color and somebody is playing some sort of role, if Shah Rukh Khan is being this or that. आज के जमाने में एवरी सिंगल डे आवर फेवरेट सिंगर, हमारा पहले एक फेवरेट सिंगर हुआ करता था, लाइक इट यूज टू बी आइदर लाइक फलाना सिंगर है, लता जी है, एंड देयर इज लाइक दिस वन सिंगर आई एम फॉरगेटिंग, जो बहुत ही अच्छे हैं ना, उनके गाने थे, यूज टू बी आई थिंक, खैर, तो है
अरिजीत
ना।
सिंह है।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, पुराने पहले पहले के टाइम के जो सिंगर थे, मतलब बहुत ही अच्छे उनके।
पुराने वालों में जो मोहम्मद
हाँ,
रफी हैं, काफी सारे हैं।
so many people, like people used to have one singer, like ये मेरे favorite singer है, either that's like a, even like जो millennials है वो बोलेंगे के was our best, this thing वगैरह, प्रीतम है या जो भी है। बट आज के जमाने फेवरेट सिंगर्स बन चुके हैं, फेवरेट एक्टर्स बन चुके हैं, एंड एवरी सिंगल डे वी सी लाइक इतना सारा कंटेंट प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, इतने सारे मूवीज आ रहे हैं, लाइक पहले शायद हम एक, at least we knew what and where we are being affected by this cinema, शायद हमारा हेयर कट, शायद हमारे कपड़े। बट आज के टाइम पे हमको पता भी नहीं है हम क्या चीज कर रहे हैं, लाइक आर दीज गोल्स आर गोल्स, लाइक व्हाट वी वांट, डू वी एक्चुअली वांट इट, या फिर हम सारी चीजों से इन्फ्लुएंस हो रहे हो, लाइक व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन दिस मास हिप्नोसिस?
Explain to me is the process of becoming a filmmaker. You're supposed to consume content repetitively again and again. And in my times, we did not have the internet. Like YouTube literally came in front of me when I was like 24, 25. So our process, this is the academic process. मतलब ये Hollywood में practice होता है to make an editor or a filmmaker. Is to have multiple inspirations, multiple ideas of content, and multiple streams of consuming that content. So what this is going to do to people, it's either going to completely destroy their identity. इनका जो अब ego construct हो रहा है ना, वो सारा का सारा बाहर से लिया हुआ है। और मजे की बात ये है कि ये एक एक्टिंग का पर्सपेक्टिव भी है, ये पढ़ाया भी जाता है ना। इसमें ये दो थ्योरीज आ जाती है, मेयर होल्ड और स्टानिस्लावस्की। और जिसमें मशहूर जमाना जो बदनाम है वो मेथड एक्टिंग है। मेथड एक्टिंग में बेसिकली आप यही कर रहे होते हो, आपने थोड़ा सा यहाँ से लिया, थोड़ा सा यहाँ से लिया, थोड़ा सा यहाँ से लिया, और अपनी पर्सनैलिटी बना दी। नाउ सोशल मीडिया ओटीटी कंजम्पशन इज डूइंग दिस टू यू विदाउट यू इवन रियलाइजिंग इट। सो दिस विल डू वन ऑफ द टू थिंग्स। और ये आप देखोगे बहुत होगा, बहुत सारे लोगों के इमोशनल ब्रेकडाउन होंगे, बहुत सारे लोग जो है सोशल मीडिया की वजह से ट्रॉमेटाइज होंगे, उनकी आइडेंटिटी क्राइसिस आएगी। ठीक है। और इसका ऑपोजिट भी होगा, बिकॉज सो मच इंफॉर्मेशन इज प्रेजेंट that you need to actually focus and consciously look for think which is data for you, not data for you, not everything is applicable to you। मतलब अगर मैं क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स पढ़ लेता हूँ तो मैं फिल्म मेकिंग में अप्लाई कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन अगर आप एक नॉर्मल से मतलब आपकी नॉर्मल 9 to 5 वाली जॉब है, आपके लिए क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स यूजलेस है। तो यू हैव टू फिल्टर थिंग्स। ये फिल्टर भी आपको जो है ना अब नॉर्मल पब्लिक पे दिखना शुरू होगा। आई ऑलवेज सी थिंग्स इन डुअलिटी, एक अच्छी साइड भी होती है, एक बुरी साइड भी होती है, लेकिन सो फार द बैड साइड, द टॉक्सिक साइड, दैट्स मोर डोमिनेटिंग। क्योंकि सोशल मीडिया ज्यादातर इस टाइम मॉन्स्टर ही बना हुआ है। Even ones who made the platforms like YouTube and Facebook and all, even they are failing to regulate it। उनको हर एक की सुननी पड़ रही है, हर एक की वो सुन भी नहीं कर पा रहे। I am actually very interested in seeing what happens when all of this goes to like Neuralink and stuff. When you're like putting on gadgets, because it's actually projecting the internet into your mind. That will really, really, I think that will really, वो है ना एक लाइन खिंच जाएगी फिर कि मेरे जैसे लोग होंगे ओल्ड स्कूल जो कहेंगे सही है काम के लिए ठीक है, बट आई डोंट वांट टू पुट ऑन द शिट फॉर एंटरटेनमेंट। और फिर ऐसे लोग होंगे जिनकी लाइफ ही उन डिवाइसेस के अंदर होगी, जिनके लिए उस डिवाइस से बाहर आना ऐसा होगा जैसे मजबूरन बाहर आए काम करने के लिए। They would want to stay over there। I think the real tactics is already here।
इट इज क्रेजी, मतलब कैसे इमेजिन करे, दी अदर डे इवन माय फादर, मतलब मेरे वाल साहब बता रहे थे कि है ना, आपको बचपन में लाइक वी आर गोइंग ऑन द वे टू द हॉस्पिटल ऑटो में, एंड ही वाज लाइक, आपने सिंड्रेला का कार्टून तो देखा होगा बचपन में, लाइक सिंड्रेला की स्टोरी तो पता ही होगी आपको, सिंड्रेला, राइट? तो उन्होंने कहा कि इफ यू
सर
ऑब्जर्व,
मैं फिल्म स्टूडेंट हूँ तो मुझे वो ओरिजिनल वाली भी पता है।
ओके, द प्रीवियस वन व्हेन शी वाज
अच्छा, एक ओरिजिनल सिंड्रेला जो है ग्रेमायर से जो ग्रेमायर में लिखी हुई है, तो वॉल्ट डिज्नी ने बेसिकली ये किया था ना कि यूरोप की जितनी भी डार्क स्टोरीज थी उन सबको जमा किया और उनको जबरदस्ती हैप्पी एंडिंग दे दी। तो आप वॉल्ट डिज्नी वाली सिंड्रेला की बात कर रहे हो?
yeah, like the one which I mean like people like my age they saw as cartoons, उसकी जो डार्क वाली एंडिंग है, I'm sure मतलब उसका तो हमें पता ही नहीं होगा, बट लाइक द सिंड्रेला अगर आप देखिए एसेंशियली व्हाट इट इज सेइंग इज लाइक आपको बस थोड़ा सा खूबसूरत होना है एंड आपको कोई आकर बचाने वाला है. यू डोंट हैव टू लाइक लुक आउट फॉर योर सेल्फ बेसिकली. इफ यू सी इन अ नटशेल मतलब कि वो शी
Yeah.
लाइक मतलब लाइक इट इज लाइक कोई आएगा कोई प्रिंस आएगा बचाएगा. एंड समवेयर है ना हमारे इतने सारे लाइक लाइक देसी पॉपुलेशन व्हेन दे सॉ दिस एज किड्स वेरी फ्रेजाइल माइंड्स वेरी लाइक पेपर जैसा था. एंड दिस इज लाइक सबकॉन्शियसली रिटर्न के है ना आपको कोई आएगा जूती पहनाएगा जूती फिट हो जाएगी लाइफ सेट है आपकी. बट आई गेस दैट डजंट हैपन इन रियल लाइफ डज इट?
Um, okay, I'm going to give you something very interesting to work with. When you study filmmaking, you're taught narratives. And in filmmaking or in narratives, there are only seven original narratives. Every other narrative is a combination of that, right? So the Cinderella narrative is what we call the rags to riches narrative. These are stories that the mind wants. It's like food for them. We need motivation so we can go on with life. And these seven original narratives are called the original narratives because whenever you use them, they will always have a lasting positive impact on whoever is watching the narrative. उसके बाद कंफर्म मोटिवेट ही होगा. इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ ना जो ओरिजिनल सिंड्रेला है ना वो बहुत डार्क स्टोरी है. वो आप ना ही पढ़ो तो बेहतर है क्योंकि वो बेसिकली इनको कहा जाता है ग्रेमोयर. वो ग्रेमोयर स्टोरीज है बच्चों को डराने के लिए सुनाई जाती थी बचपन में. वहां से वो कल्चर निकला हुआ है. मतलब जर्मन लेजेंड से है. Cinderella that has been shot in Walt Disney was designed to create Cinderella as a product which they can sell and merchandise on. And as well, right now, I think in the time of AI, everybody will be designing their own Cinderellas. It's not that far away. I mean, prompting has gotten so easy that I'm able to make 5 to 10 second animations of whatever I want to do. And with all due respect, majority people who know how to use AI and are in the late late teens or early 20s would be either using it for porn or for hacking softwares, right? That's the two things you would always be tempted to do with AI. The actual potential of AI is going to be very destructive if it doesn't get regulated right now. And the sense of narratives and how to use media, ये सब बच्चों को पढ़ाना पड़ेगा. This is not something which is taught in like universities now. What media is, what content is, ये क्लास 4, 5, 6 की उम्र में अगर बच्चों को नहीं पढ़ाया तो exposure to social media will destroy their construct of morality. मतलब उनकी sense of right and wrong खराब हो जाएगी. हमारी जनरेशन तो फिर भी टीवी पे जाके देखती थी ना सिंड्रेला या सिनेमा में देखी है. Now they can write their own Cinderellas. So we need to rethink education as we know it.
So
I have to
it's
stop over there वरना मैं फिर एक पूरा पैराग्राफ खोल दूंगा about what parenting is.
मतलब इट्स स्केरी इट्स स्केरी एंड मतलब मैं जब है ना जैसे ही लाइक द पॉइंट ही मेंशन्ड के है ना मतलब देखो ये जो मतलब है कि है ना somebody is going to come and help you when it should be the other way around कि है ना nobody is going to come and help you. आप किसी से कुछ एक्सपेक्ट मत करो. You have to go and do मतलब not like not expect anything from anyone but mostly like you have to do what you have to do. You can't be like somebody is going to do that for me as well, right? So instead of that है ना एकदम ही बहुत ही passive approach when it should be more proactive. Sir, that like you said, it is an entire debate in parenting and should cartoons be allowed for kids or not. I guess the answer is very obvious, but I would move on to the other thing where like when it comes to Desi households and Desi culture, when we call it the ISC, Indian subcontinent. So one thing which I ask like people who
Mhm.
are like from this background is we always have this timeline. Okay, टाइमलाइन ये है कि है ना ये साल इतने में आपकी ये ओ लेवल्स ए लेवल्स और ग्रेड 11 12 इन इंडिया और आपकी है ना ये उम्र में डिग्री हो जानी चाहिए ये उम्र में शादी हो जानी चाहिए ये उम्र में बच्चे हो जाने चाहिए. बट दिस इज लाइक सो रिजिड लाइक नाउ आई फील लाइक नाउ आई एम फीलिंग दैट लाइक व्हेन माय कजन्स गॉट मैरिड आई एम लाइक भाई ये क्या चक्कर है मतलब लाइक when will people explore when will people actually find out what they want to do what is their calling and calling वालिंग कुछ चक्कर नहीं है इधर सीधा मतलब बस this is going to happen this time this is going to happen this time. So what is your thought about that and also जैसे पहले है ना पेशा कहते थे हम राइट प्रोफेशन और आज के जमाने में हम बस कहते हैं जॉब यानी कि मुलाजिमत. पेशा ऐसा होता था इंसान को उस पे है ना मतलब गर्व बोलो या इंसान को उसके बारे में फख्र महसूस हो
Hmm.
सकता लाइक आई एम अ कॉबलर आई एम एन आयरन स्मिथ और गोल्ड स्मिथ जो भी लोहार बोलो सुनार बोलो. But now it is like, I'm doing this job which I don't like just for the sake of package, bolo, kuch bolo, kya bolo. So like timeline and profession, like what are your thoughts on that? Like two big things, but I feel like in today's day and age, it is very like very apt questions to ask, because everyone is going through this, कोई है ना, somebody's like, I want to become an influencer, somebody's like, पता नहीं क्या करेंगे, and it's going on in people's mind. So what's your take on that?
इसलिए मैंने इस बारे में पहले से बात की ना, because this is prominent. Yes, I've been talking to a lot of people from your age gap, and this is what you call culture shock. Okay, think you just pick up you just pick up one everything you have one day, and you just move to an island in Cambodia. Okay, their culture will shock you because it will not sync with what your beliefs are. So this is now happening in every single family, and this is because we have an exceptional exposure of information, not knowledge. So eventually, expand on, and we need to make room for this. We think you would get like you're an engineer or a cobbler or a writer or a driver or any or even a teacher or a filmmaker. That became your identity. Now the identities are being mass produced. Okay, cobblers are mass produced now. Everything is being mass produced. Nothing is being made by hand. So if a cobbler is making a shoe by hand today, he will have that identity people had like 3 4 generations ago. But for us, people like me, we would really have to explore what our patterns are, what our emotions are, how they've organized in the last 10, 20, 30 years. Now nobody can come and tell you who you are. ये एक shift आया. This is a healthy thing as well as a bad thing. It's healthy because this would lead you eventually to spirituality, to exploring concepts like what the mind is, what passion is, what empathy is, what entropy is. ये जरा भारी भारी चीजें हैं, लेकिन if you are exploring yourself, these things start to make sense to you. This is the good side, which will happen for because of all of this. The bad side is everybody will try to justify their own culture as the right one. जिससे आपको एक न्यू फैशनिज्म का एक छोटा सा प्राइज मिलेगा, और ये आपको इन्फ्लुएंसर्स में मिलता है, क्योंकि इन्फ्लुएंसर का लाइफ साइकिल बड़ा छोटा होता है. If an influencer goes viral, they hit the peak. Now what the problem is, impossible to sustain. It will eventually collapse unless the influencer evolves. तो evolve नहीं करता, most cases में आपको influencers clash होते ही दिखते हैं. वो फिर eventually किसी brand को पकड़ लेंगे या फिर एक खास किस्म के content को साइकिल अप करना शुरू कर देंगे, उसी तरह की वीडियोस बार 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 बनाएंगे. तो इंडिविजुअलिज्म अपने ऊपर अगर हमने फोकस इस वक्त करना शुरू नहीं किया, इन दिस कल्चर शॉक व्हिच वी आर फेसिंग, तो आगे जाके फैमिली स्ट्रक्चर बनाना बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा. एंड दिस इज अ टर्म आई थिंक आई विल हैव टू लाइक स्टार्ट प्रोपेगेटिंग नाउ कि कल्चर शॉक को समझे, क्योंकि कल्चर शॉक उतना ही हैवी होता है जितना डिप्रेशन होता है. मतलब यू फील कंप्लीटली एलियनेटेड, योर ओन ब्रदर वुड लुक लाइक एन एलियन स्पीशीज टू यू. it's basically a term. It's actually a disease to a certain extent. If you're unable to cope with it, it can have physical effects on you. मतलब आप बीमार पड़ना शुरू हो जाओगे. The food will not work for you. The colors will feel alien to you. I mean, in your culture, red could represent love, and in their culture, red could represent danger. That's the culture shock right there.
That's really good कि आपने point out किया कि the identity will break, which is very important, because nothingness and no identity is
Break हो
very
रही है ना.
important, because that is where our ego was probably attached maybe 2 3 generations back कि है ना, मैं फलाना हूँ, मैं फलाना हूँ, like I'm like I'm like हम बनिए हैं, हम पठान है, खान है, and we are Reddys, we are Marwadis, this or that, मतलब ये सारी कुछ चीजें है ना थी. And this is a good thing, it is breaking down, that now we are able to also go into paths which are less traveled by other people, so which is a very good thing. Otherwise it was already destined कि है ना, लोहार का बेटा लोहार, सुनार का बेटा सुनार. We have this small perspective session where we try to get in some perspective on your end, and then maybe we can wrap up. So the first thing is, like, if you could go maybe like Nassim Nicholas Taleb, he says, if you want to write a good story, you don't write about the future, you go into the past and then you create the story, because you can't change the past. But if you go into the future, it could be anything, right? So if you could go into the past 10 15 years back, what would you say to the younger Talat Mazhar? And yeah, what would you just speak to him, and what would you advise?
I have picked up something from my chacha. My chacha was a filmmaker. Okay, and he told me something. Do not trust anyone but yourself. I've gone through a lot of shit in my life. I have a lot of people I can trust, but I do not trust them. And this one thing has kept me stable from going into filmmaking to ending up in call centers, working in customer support, to literally going into freelancing where I'm like literally fighting for projects, to going into sales and then coming a complete circle in front of the camera where I left from. Because I'm not lying to myself. I know what I'm going through. I would
Uh,
want to keep saying this to everyone. Like, just trust yourself, don't trust anyone else. Trust yourself first. When you understand yourself, everything else will automatically make sense. There's a lot of shit I didn't understand 10, 15 years ago, but I trusted myself and it has gotten me through. So this is one thing that's working. I mean, if you can't trust God, at least trust yourself. I would go 15 years back and literally carve it on my wall. किसी दिन भूल गए तो यहाँ पर पड़ेगा ये करना.
क्रेजी क्रेजी ना हमको पता है आपके पास आपका एक छोटा बेटा है एंड लेट्स से he somehow comes across this interview like मेरे पापा का interview and something like that and 10-15 years from now is there a message you like or is there something you would tell
Mm,
him?
well, I was working in call centers like 1.5, 2 years ago. And one big reason for leaving that, because I was financially very comfortable over there. It was very soul crushing work, but it was above break even for me. The reason I left is because I wanted to set an example for my son. Because when he starts looking up to me, he must see someone on path. I'm not any, and there's something really valuable. People who know, people who want to create their own way are always at peace, even if they're not happy. They own up their own decisions. My main drive for making these videos and for teaching as well. See, if I wasn't married, if I didn't have a son, I wouldn't be here. I would be a completely different person. I probably a traveler or a bum or some kind of that person. One main reason I'm doing all of this is because of my son. Because when he's of that age that he's looking up social media and he finds a digital footprint of his own father, he sees someone who's confident, who's making his own path. Because at this point in my life, I need to be completely in control of myself. I need to be focused on peace, not happiness. Because peace is literally something which is more of a mindset rather than a state that you're in. See, it's something you cultivate with time. If I'm looking for happiness, that's just a chemical, that's dopamine, that's serotonin. So that would be again going into that same cycle of like a 9 to 5. Because then I'm following the chemical. I want to follow myself and make myself grow. And I want to set that example before my son is capable of actually going on YouTube and searching my name. And I think it's working good so far. People like me are showing up from all over the place. They're contacting me, and it's more like it's not like I'm teaching something new. It's like people coming up and saying that you're not alone. We're going through the same thing you are. So that is what I want to leave for my son. That if you take your own path, people will show up. People will follow.
And I feel like the main reason is also I mean like when people go to the 9 to 5, which is not a bad thing, but I feel like the major thing when somebody is going on their own path is that they are not matlab, they're not trusting their skills, they're not trusting their past because the past is redundant, future में कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है. And most importantly, they're placing their trust in the higher power, which is very hard because we are always used to something which is like more guaranteed when that is a 9 to 5 that regardless of what happens I'll be getting my money on the first or the 31st or whatever it is. So we want something which is more predictable, but if we go on the path which is like less trodden, it's like you are placing your trust in the most high and you don't know, you literally have no like idea what is going to happen, and I guess that is the beauty and that is the challenge, and that is where your faith even gets better, I feel.
Faith is something you develop with time. I would not ask you to go for faith that early on in your life. I I try to make things very practical.
Hmm.
Okay, if you understand yourself, you will feel the presence of the divine. Because
Hmm.
consciousness is something which is being powered by the divine. It's literally on the back end. God is your battery. That's a oversimplification. But then again, You can only reach God or the divine or some kind of mystical experience once you completely understand the ordinary. And I'm just saying, I'm not designed to be ordinary. Okay, my father, my chachas, a lot of people I know and respect a lot are completely happy with the 9 to 5 cycle. They just need to know that that's their calling. They're meant for it. They're designed for it. And people like you and me, we're not actually designed for the 9 to 5. We're more designed towards evolution, towards testing things out, towards experimentation, and towards risk taking to a certain extent. So if your calling is the 9 to 5, by all means, go for it. I tried it. I gave it 2 to 3 years of my life, and it drained me. At the end of the day, when I got home, I was not happy. I was exhausted. It was like something was burning out inside me. So that is why I left. And working in the software industry or the call center industry, that's very high stress environment. So not everybody can survive over there. So the people who actually are running all those things, I really respect them. And I also understand that I am not one of them. And I have
So
to accept. Working in call centers for 2 to 3 years is why I'm able to take 15 to 20 calls every day and not get exhausted. I did get exhausted when I was doing it in the call center because it was for a product. But now I'm actually genuinely connecting to everyone I'm talking to. So it actually gives me more energy instead of making me tired. And, even if you want to take this conversation 1 hour more, I'll be like, yes, I'm more than welcome. Just let me grab a cup of coffee.
crazy.
It's my own genuine feeling. That's how I'm feeling. That's why I enjoy this more. That's why I keep saying this to everyone. Understand your own self first. What you are meant to. Maybe you're really good at drawing, but you're not meant for drawing. Maybe you're supposed to apply the aesthetics of drawing somewhere else. Maybe you're supposed to apply it in war. Maybe you're supposed to apply it in cooking. Who knows? You need to go and take that little bit of risk to make sure if you're meant for 9 to 5 or not.
So, for like, like in this chaos of like I would say internet chaos, where everyone is, let's say, either they're consuming the news, or like I would be saying treated news, not even the news. Like back in the day, like there would be like हादसा हो रहा है तो actually बता रहे हैं लोगों को ताकि लोग आगाह हो कि है ना पता हो रहा है कि ये फलां जगह ही ऐसा हुआ वैसा हुआ. Now it's like treated news, so basically everything gets filtered, everything gets like bossed up, and makeup wake up and everything. And treated news, and everything is like in its perfect shape on social media. And uh, like we have content coming, we have dramas, people telling us what to be, what not to be, subconsciously trying to change or like influence us in any way, like the dressing, how we think, how we operate. What can a simple person, like what can a normal person, like somebody in their early 20s or early 30s would be like, if they would be like, Talat bhai, just tell us like one to two things what we can do every single day to maintain sanity, what would that be?
Okay. Um, it's called the 5 Ws. This is something which is taught to journalists as well as to the first instant where I learned this is from a sniper. You know what a sniper is?
Yes, yes.
I'm in Pakistan, and the one thing which you can say to everyone that Pakistan is good at is training. And that's specifically discipline training. You apply that in war or you apply that in business. You see, Pakistan is acing it because they understand the 5 Ws. Now, what are the 5 Ws? Who are you doing this for? Why are you doing it? When did you start doing it? What are you doing? And where will this take you? ये 5 सवाल है जी. If you master these 5 questions, if you know how to ask these 5 questions, you become a journalist, you become a researcher, you become a PhD. If you learn to answer these questions about yourself, you become a mystic, you become a Sufi, you become a spiritual person. ये 5 questions ही हैं. I was lucky enough to learn these from okay, I had a teacher from Bangladesh who came to Pakistan to teach us, and he was knighted by the Queen because of his journalistic reporting. And he taught me these 5 basically rules: who, what, when, where, why. He says, whatever you're doing, if you can answer these 5 questions, you will have power over that situation because you will understand it to the core. So these 5 questions, कहीं लिख के रख लें और चलाएं sir, because even right now, before talking to you, I answered these 5 questions. Who is Atta Rahman to me? Why am I talking to him? Where will this conversation take me? Etc. Etc.
Wow,
And
did
the
you like
beauty is,
actually
our
write it?
conversation has actually.
Like, did you actually
I
write
don't need to
it?
write it
Hmm.
anymore.
Huh.
I've been practicing this since 2009,
Mm-hmm.
2008 actually. So
Uh-huh.
in the beginning, I wrote it. I write a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm addicted to writing. I try to avoid typing and write by hand actually. But now it's just a mental thing. Before, because you see, none of my videos are scripted.
Yes,
Before
yes.
the video, I just go like, who am I making this for? Why am I making this? Where is the data coming from? What can I add to this data? And when am I supposed to do this? Like, is this the right time to make it or not? This is what I'm following. And this is literally an academic process. If you adapt to these 5 Ws, you can do academic level research. You can become anything you want to. आपने पांचों dimensions कवर कर लिए, आपने past भी कवर कर लिया, future भी कवर कर लिया, present भी कवर कर लिया, और backup भी बना लिया. It's that powerful.
Right. So, without taking much time, Talat bhai, it was great speaking to you, and I'm glad you spent some extra time with us. And like you said, you could go even for an hour, but I want to respect that time. And maybe we can have more future conversations. I guess this would be your first,
We
Indo
have
Pak
to.
podcast.
You have triggered me, man.
Uh,
Yeah, you have triggered me. See the kind of okay. My problem is you can say I'm lucky this way or unlucky this way, but I come from an English medium background. So
right.
even if I want to, I can't think in Urdu. I think in
Acha.
English, and I'm able to go into my flow state much easily if I'm talking in English. And it's not like I'm against Urdu or anything. It's just my background. It's where I'm coming from. आपको सुनने में बर्गर लगेगा लेकिन ये प्रॉब्लम है मेरे साथ और ऊपर
I
से
mean,
एक्सपोजर भी ज्यादातर जो कंटेंट कर रहा है दैट्स बिन इंग्लिश कंटेंट
where do you see Hindi or Urdu here? I mean, like I studied Hindi and Urdu, but like if we are reading all of these books, hamara mind is going to be in English, right? That is very natural. You see,
Yes.
like this book, like Art of War and everything. We don't see, we never read it in like Hindi or Urdu, right? And
In
somehow,
Chinese or Hindi, English.
so that is how, I mean, if we laid more emphasis, maybe with this podcast would be like more Hindi or Urdu. But like I said, most of my audience is like English based. So
Let's
that
stick
that
to English. Okay.
yeah, English, Hindi, Urdu. I mean, कुछ
See,
भी
okay.
चलेगा, कुछ
I,
भी
I,
चल. Yeah.
I have to take. I'm like 38 now, so I have to make a point. See, okay, I'm a Muslim, so for me, Islam is the best religion because it was revealed in a language which was easy to understand. Right? Arabic is not easy to understand right now. If you want to move with the world right now, you have to take English. You can add your own layer of Urdu to it. उसमें आप नफासत दे सकते हो, उसमें आप और चीजें ऐड कर सकते हो. But if you're not using English, I don't think you're working with humanity because humanity is operating on English. Technology is operating on English. We have to take these things forward in English. It's पाकिस्तान में प्रॉब्लम ये है ना कि इंग्लिश को वो रिस्पेक्ट नहीं दी जाती. इंग्लिश इज कंसिडर्ड अ स्टेटस सिंबल ओवर देयर. इफ यू हैव बेसिक ग्रामर and you can hold your sentences, you're elite class. But English is more about condensing ideas into simpler forms. That's the beauty of English. It's literally a spell. It's like a magical language. इसमें आप चीजों को बहुत सिंपल कर सकते हो अगर आप करना चाहो तो. And I want someone to talk to in English. I need someone to talk in English with. Because I'm
And
running out of people, man, or most of them have gotten married.
and if you see if we speak about our own mother tongues, be it Hindi or Urdu. I mean, I've studied Hindi, Urdu, and my local language is Telugu as well. So if we like try to condense all of these topics into like the native language, वो सारे जो words हैं, we would have to again define them for people because it's like very complex. Anyways, we'll go into like another different tangent for like another 30 minutes. It was nice speaking to you.
मुझे चाहिए
Let's
ना कोई बंदा चाहिए बात करने के लिए. Let's do
let's
another
have
episode whenever you can, man.
for sure,
There's a
for
lot of
sure.
stuff I want to actually share with you.
For sure. Like whenever you have something to share, whenever you want to get on, feel free to let me know. I'm always ready. And like I always bring out different guests, and we can always discuss different topics. We went a little bit into like color. I also wanted to go into music and how it is affecting and healing people because further on, I hope to bring on some of the like physicians who have worked in these studies, like cancer studies. We have like from general medicine to cancer to palliative care, and like my goal is to bring them on and speak because they have actually worked with musicians and they have performed like hardcore studies and they're published. So the goal is to bring them on, and rather than speaking them like from a third person point of view, when we actually have them, inshallah, I believe uh, like we'll have some more insight. regardless, it was great speaking to you. And inshallah, I guess for people who are listening, you can always check out the description, reach out to him. And I guess if you show more love, and we'll have further more conversations. Again, it was nice speaking to you, Talat bhai. Much love from India. And hopefully we meet someday, I guess, when the borders open.
And much love from Pakistan.
So for people
Now we'll meet
listening and
somewhere else. We'll go for some neutral territory.
for sure, for sure. So people listening and watching, you know what to do. Stay blessed. Keep taking action. This is Talat Mazhar, Ataur Rahman signing off, and you have a blessed day. Take care.